Come on, if you're clapping for Jesus, do it properly. Clap with those hands because he gave you hands to clap. And you know, as you clap, God will also make people clap for you as time goes on in your life. We give God praise. Hallelujah. Amen. Please be seated. Let me go straight because I need to run. Substance abuse. Recently, we find out that the young people, they are not interested in marijuana or SK or Arizona or even crack, cocaine or heroin, but they are used to things like tramadol, Refnol, codeine, Xanax, Lexapro. You can name them, so many that we cannot exhaust. But I want to bring your mind to something. Those drugs I just mentioned, the prescription drugs like tramadol, Refnol, codeine, they are essentially painkillers. And they are pharmaceutical drugs. Any person that studies pharmacy here knows that the root word for pharmacy is pharmakia, and it means witchcraft. So let me put it straight. If you fraternize with drugs, you are playing with something you don't know. When you fraternize with drugs, you are playing with things you don't know. Up till now, people did not believe that there's something spiritual about drugs until a particular drug came into play 2 years ago, somewhere in America, a drug called Flocker that makes people misbehave. And that was when a professor in Harvard now concluded that drug addiction is spiritual. When you do drugs, you are playing with things that can mess up your life completely. And let me put it straight here. When you go into drugs, it's for pleasure. You know, it's for relaxation. It's to get away from emotional pain and stress. And in Nigeria, there's so much stress facing the young people. For instance, no light, school problems, academic problems, then relationship problems. You want to have boyfriend, girlfriends, they keep breaking your hearts and you're picking the pieces together. And so when you go through all these pains, it depends on who you meet. They introduce you to drugs. For instance, the first girl that was brought to me from Babcock University, she got into codeine because she had issue with her boyfriend. And she couldn't sleep. And somebody told her she should just take a spoonful of codeine. In less than 4 months, she graduated from a spoonful to 3 bottles a day. Now, drug becomes a problem when it moves from pleasure to health problem. I want you to know, if you are fraternizing with tramadol, we are fraternizing with Refnol, codeine, get ready. Very soon you are going to start to have what we call stomach cramps. You are going to start to have what we call seizures. Seizures is like epilepsy. When you graduate to that, I can tell you there's no school that can take you in because you'll be having seizures during lectures. And you'll be causing problems in the class, and they're going to send you packing. And not just that. Now let's talk about euphoria. That's what we call high. People say, I want to get high, I want to get high. And I'm laughing. You said you were getting high, meanwhile your feet are still on the floor. So you're actually not getting high. Let me tell you what happened when you have that euphoria feeling, or what we call high. When you take drugs, when it goes into your brain cells start dying. It is when they are dying you experience that floating experience you call high. Well, I'm not here to teach you theory. I will just share my story. It could help you. Because most of the time when young people see somebody talking about these things, the first thing that comes to your mind is that this guy does not know what he's talking about. Okay, I was 16 years old when I was introduced to drug in University of Ibadan. 16 years old, somebody introduced me to marijuana after he gave me a book to read that can mesmerize my mind. A book that simply says the white man education cannot benefit the black man. So with the influence of drugs and information, 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, do not be deceived. Evil communication corrupt good manners. So the information from the book messed my mind, and I just concluded there was no need for education. And there are guys here that are not interested in education. You are just there because daddy is paying the bill. What you really want to do is music. Somebody really want to do is sports. You are many, you're seated here. You know. But I must tell you this, you better get your degree. Because in case you fail in your music, what will you fall back on? And I can tell you, out of every 10 people that goes out for music, maybe one succeed or half. That's the truth. You think it's easy to write a hit? And do you know what you have to sacrifice to be a star? So many things you sacrifice. Alright? So, that was how I got into marijuana, and I came back home and I told my dad I'm not interested in education. What do you want to do now? I said I want to do music. I concluded this is what I want to do. And my dad said, listen, none of my child is going to do music. And he said, can't you see what music has done to that man they call Fela Anikulapo Kuti? Right there in my mind, I sized my dad, compared him with Fela. Fela was a mega star. Nobody knew my dad. So what is he talking about? And that's exactly how young people think. And that's why it's dangerous for you to be comparing them with people. Because if you mention Davido now, all these young people sees him as an idol. You mention Wizkid as an idol. So don't talk them down when you're talking to these kids. Just help them see the reality. So I'm coming from both parents' angle, and because I'm going to be dedicating my first grandson this morning. Alright? But I didn't just arrive here, because if there wasn't a change, I wouldn't arrive here. I would have actually been killed. I would have been shot by the government. Because you can never tell what drugs will lead you to. Anyways, from there, I left home. And I went to Shrine. From Shrine, I went to Kalakuta. Femi took me from Shrine and introduced me to Fela Anikulapo Kuti. And that was how the tripping started. I already was in marijuana and wanted to play music. I couldn't help myself. However, true spiritual means what I call astral projection in metaphysics. My soul left my body and I went into the realm of the demons, and I got instruction on instrumentation. I came back, I spent 72, my soul spent 72 hours outside my body. By the time I got back, I went to Fela and I told him I want to play music. And he said, what instrument? I said, guitar. And he tested me, I passed. And I became the youngest guitarist in Egypt band. And then that was it. We started touring United States, North America, Europe, playing shows. But on our first trip, he was arrested. And by the time we got back, he was slammed in jail. And you know, we used to play in Shrine. And you know, when we play in Shrine, after 5 tracks, we take a short break, go and get high and come back. So when I jumped down from the stage, excuse me, somebody blocked me and said, young man, I like the way you play your guitar on stage and you look like a punk. You know, because I was always babbing punk and I had my ears pierced. Some of the holes are still there. And he said, but young boys like you, there's something they use to enhance their performance in America. I said, what is that? He said, cocaine. And I said, I've never heard about it. And I'm talking 1984 now. So it's not today. Drugs have been there for years and it's going to be there for years. Let me tell you this, everybody doing drugs, nobody can succeed in killing drugs. Drugs kill people. You either stop or you get killed. I'm telling you, and I'm not missing my words. You either stop or drug will stop you. So, you know, that was the day I was introduced to cocaine and heroin. And it was nice, you know. The high was different from marijuana, you know. So I was enjoying the stuff, not knowing what I've gotten into, until after about 3 weeks, I discovered that when I wake up in the morning, I feel sick. Running stomach, I'll be vomiting, I'm throwing up, pains in all my joints and my muscles. I'll be sweating at the same time, be feeling cold, you know, until I smoke a stick of marijuana laced with heroin. I cannot get myself. And that's what they call Jonesing in Nigeria. And you hear drug addicts who say, I want to go and cure. That means drug addiction becomes a health hazard. Any drug addict cannot function unless he gets high. And that is it. Many drug addicts cannot sleep unless they get high. And that's why when you're already in drugs, if you are going to get out of drugs, which is what I do, it's going to take close to about a month to 2 months before you can sleep normally. Because the drugs have messed up the nerves that radio messages to your brain that it's time for your body to get to sleep. And that's why people get addicted and they cannot stop it. And there are some guys here that are already in this thing we are talking about. Anyways, drug took me to the next phase of life. You know, right now, a gram of cocaine is 16,000 naira. And a gram of cocaine takes less than 20 minutes to smoke. So that's why they call cocaine the millionaire's deal. It takes a lot of money to take cocaine. And that's why cocaine smokers can sell their houses to smoke. They can sell their cars. You know, they can deposit their wife to collect drugs. And when I say this, some people think I am joking. I ain't joking. I'm talking about a real life that you're not aware of, you know. And I know there are some people here that understand what I'm talking about. Some people that have been there just like I did, you know, even though they are hiding their testimony. You know, when we are in church, we are angels, you know. Everybody's an angel in church, but I know something that the Bible says that we overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and what? The word of our testimony. I know I'm not the only bad guy here, you know, but then I am ready to share my anytime. Anyways, at the end of the day, the cost of meeting cocaine was tough for me. And this is why I will tell you, you can never tell where drugs will take you to. Some of the things I did, if I was told I would do them, I would never agree. So in order for me to meet the cost of smoking drug, I had to join an 11-man armed robbery gang in Keji. So I became an armed robber. And as armed robbers, man, some things happen. The question in everybody's mind is, did this man ever kill somebody? I mean, yes, I did a couple of times, but I cannot say how many times. But it's not because I wanted to do it. It was because I got into a habit that I could not control. Same can happen to you. And you know, most of you know that drugs and cultism on campuses go hand in hand. You know that every campus in Nigeria has got a drug market. I mentioned a couple of them. Bowen University, Babcock University, Crawford University, Ron, Covenant. There's a drug market. Don't say because they are Christian universities. I'm not telling you stories. I'm telling you because I have been counseling therapy from students from all these schools, both girls and boys, between the ages of 17 and 22. So if you think your child is safe because they are in Ron, you better think twice. Now what you need is this awareness we are creating here this morning, because what you don't know, you don't know. Alright? So parents need to know what they call symptoms. I can't do that today. My time is short. What do I look out for? How do I know? Because let me tell you, before a parent can actually discover that your child is doing drugs, he must have done it for more than a year or 2 years. Because they can hide this stuff, you know. And by the time you realize it's because they can no longer control themselves. That's when you start to discover, you know, from their speeches, their behaviors, their dress code, their kind of friends, their outing patterns, even their eating habits. You start to discover that this child have started messing with drugs. However, it's an armed robber, yes, we killed, but God has forgiven us, because if anyone be in Christ, it's a new creature. Alright, that's the scripture. It does not matter what you have done. I've been forgiven. If I wasn't forgiven, I wouldn't be sharing this. I've been sharing this for the past 24 years. So it's not today. So you still go to Kirikiri, cell 27, you see my name on the wall as an armed robber. I did time too. You go to Abeokuta prison, I did time. But not because I started off wanting to be an armed robber. Drug caused it. Now you see your child suddenly has become a very violent boy at home. You don't know why. Okay? But you know that child normally was a very quiet person. Drug has affected, you know, his temperament. He's become a wild beast, a wild animal. He's no longer interested in keeping peace. Anyways, drug took me to robbery, and robbery took me to experimenting with charms and amulets. So I was in my hotel room in Toronto. We went to do some shows in North America. I got a call from Nigeria, and somebody said to me over the phone, he said, Keji, don't bother to come back to Nigeria. I said, why? He said, the police have arrested your gang, and they've confessed you are the head of the gang. And I said, listen, man, I can't stay in America. And I have my reasons. My reasons was because of my lifestyle. I was too violent. I was always fighting. I stabbed. I used cutlass. I used axe. I was bloody, you know. But that was not who I was. And the guy said, okay, if you come, don't go to your house. I will take you to somewhere where they will cook you. what Yoruba call aseje or something. Ase, you know, Jesara, you know. So I got back, checked into a hotel in Allen Avenue. So with the same airport taxi, we traveled to a village called Ijebu Akaka. And we met with a Baba called Baba Amunikoro. Different things happened. Took me to the river in the middle of the night with 13 pieces of sponge and 13 mixtures of black soap and herbs. I faced where the river was flowing to. And now some of the girls are laughing. Some of the guys you want to date, they might have been doing all these things you will not know. So you better open your ears where this is not a joking matter. Okay, if you look at me very well, you need to know how I look, and you need to see the kind of girls I pulled those days. They never knew I was doing all these things. Nobody even knew that I was an armed robber. Because I'll finish robbing and still come back to shrine around 1, climb the stage, mount my piano and still play with fellas. So you will not even know that I've gone to kill. So that's how it is. They know the right time for face now. So that was it. After the Baba finished with me, gave me rings, made decision, now fear came in. Every time I start seeing pictures, the people that I know, that I shot as they were dying, as they were screaming. Somebody took me to Ghana to meet another Babalawo. Then they took me to Cotonou to meet with another Babalawo, who sent me to the cave in the middle of the night, where a python that I met in the cave came to me and rolled itself around me and faced me, and I fainted. And I and the python, we stayed in that cave till about 5 in the morning. And then the Babalawo came back and said, "Are you still alive?" I said, "Yes." The python had gone to its position, and the Babalawo said, "Come out, you are now a man." How can a python make somebody a man? That's what it is when you don't know the truth. Jesus Christ said, "You know the truth, and the truth will make you free." Right? And it's the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:6. So, all my talk is centered around Jesus. Now, that was it. My final initiation happened when I met a guy in Scotland. We were recording the song Beast of No Nation. How many of us know Beast of No Nation here? Una plenty, yo. You can't tell me you know that, eh? You see now. So you see that I have brothers here. So I'm not the only bad guy here, you know. It's just that I might just be a little bit deeper than them, you know. So we had to do a video recording of Beast of No Nation in Scotland in a studio called The Tube. You know, when you are doing a live video recording, you need a crowd like this. So there was a guy sitting on the 4th row. And in that video, if you ever see the video, you see me without shirt. I use a native white chalk to make marks on my face and a big earring here. So as we were playing, I noticed that this guy was just staring at me. After the recording, he called me to come down. I jumped down and he said, "Young man, I like the way you perform on stage. I'm the co-owner of Life Shield Mortgage Bank, Allen Avenue. I have money. I want to sponsor your music career. Now, young people, listen to that." He said, "Bates, I want to sponsor," but I didn't know who he was. He had money. He owned a bank. So, I've hit it big. So he gave me his card. He said he came to Scotland to do a 3 weeks or 1 month course when he gets to Nigeria. By the time he came back, this was 93, 94, he came back. I've lost his card, so I could not contact him. So one day I was in shrine smoking, and some guys came and said, "Keji, there's a guy looking for you outside." So I met with this guy, and we drove to Sheraton, checked into a hotel room, because that's where he smokes. He smokes in Sheraton. He doesn't smoke inside joint. He just picks up the smoke, you know. And that is how this life runs. You know, most of the time we think it's the area boys on the street that do drugs. They are the ones that expose drugs. The real drug addicts are the billionaires, some crazy billionaires. If you go to a hotel and suite right now, there are people in the suite. All they are doing there is smoking cocaine. They can do it for 2 days. They have the money. There's a doctor standing by. If they get too high, they tie them on the bed, pass drip on their body. When they are through, they continue smoking. I'm telling you the simple truth. This was the life I lived, you know. So, it was after me and this man met. He said, "Okay, we need to enter a deal. I should get a lawyer by next weekend. I'm coming." Of course, we met again in Sheraton. He came with a lawyer. I came with a lawyer. The contract was done. "Oga, let us sign." He said, "Me and him, we enter a covenant." I didn't even know what he was talking about. I said, "Covenant. Oh yeah, make we enter." He said, no, we have to travel to Onitsha. So we traveled to Onitsha. We lodged in Nkisi area. We lodged in a hotel called Nkisi Palace Hotel. And that was a Friday. Then Saturday night and early Sunday morning, he said, let's go. Long and short of the story, I got initiated to Azenuzaki cult. During the initiation, I was given a half bucket full of human being blood to take my bath. After that, they gave me the covenant food, which was porridge and human being fresh tongue on top. When I told the priest I can't eat it, he said, then you are gone. He said, do you realize that it's a human being tongue and you are a human being? So I had to chew everything. And they gave me a little shrine. Said I should take it to Lagos every last Saturday of the month. In the morning, I should sacrifice a chicken to it. If I do not, it will be sucking my blood. And then in the evening, I should go to Number Susu Zumbambadiwe. She said to me, you are welcome to Azenuzaki cult. And I said, I didn't come here to join a cult. I came here to enter a covenant with a business partner. She said, sorry, a priestess. And she said to me, any day you tell anybody about Azenuzaki, your tongue will rotten in your mouth. The sole of your feet will rotten, and you will not be able to go out. You'll be on your bed 7 days after you will die. It's been 24 years I've been telling people I just told you. I've told people around the world, you can Google my name, you see all that stuff. Now, there might be people here that are into Buccaneer, Vikings, bullshit. In the rehab, I rehabilitate drug addicts. I just graduated 24 drug addicts yesterday. Among them were 13 cultists. God used me to do their deliverance. If you are in cult, you can be delivered. All I need from you is the name of the cult, the name of the God of the cult, your bush name. See that guy bow. Your bush name. You bow. You can be delivered. Don't let cult terrorize you. They are small. Jesus Christ is the head of all principalities and powers, of things in darkness, things in the light, visible and invisible. His name is still breaking yokes. His blood is pure. Every covenant is done with human being blood, but Jesus Christ's blood is pure. The strongest covenant a native doctor can do is say, get a pregnant woman and remove the foetus. But you know, even the foetus is not pure. The Bible says, in iniquity was I conceived, in sin did my mother bring me forth. The blood of Jesus is pure. So if you are in cult, you can be delivered. Contact me. We cast it out. You know, maybe next time I have opportunity, we play some videos for you. Because when I do such deliverance, I don't do public deliverance. This thing is not a show. Yeah, it's not a show. You know, I don't like fame again. I don't like popularity. It's not a good thing. You know, but you can be delivered. You foam, you vomit. Then the fourth thing you tell me is the property of covenant. What did you eat? Is it dry rice or whatever? What did you use? What did you swallow during the initiation? You tell me. And I'll lead you to break your covenant with the four and cast the demon out. The bush name is not a name. The bush name is a demon. In cult, they will call some people Hitler. Hitler is dead. The spirit that possessed Hitler is not dead. He's still roaming. So when they name you a bush name and call you Hitler, that spirit comes and enters you. So you fear nobody except your capon. Your father is nothing before you, only your capon. So you can be delivered. Anyways, this is the sum total of my story. And then, how did I get born again? Do you think a guy like me will just dress up and go to church? It's not possible. What am I going to do? I started smoking in there with the pages of the Bible in my room in Belgium. Hotel room. Normally when we travel, I don't like smoking foreign weed because they are planted with fertilizers. They are not strong. So I travel with my weed from here. Package some in my keyboard to beat the security. The one I will smoke as soon as I arrive, I put it inside my body. Sorry, through my anus. It is called kele in drug pushing. You just push it in. The first time I experienced that was when I was arrested and I was put in a Black Maria, and a prisoner ordered for a big bottle of stout, and he collected it, didn't open it, was spitting on it and rubbing the... I was wondering what he wanted to do. When he finished, he removed his trouser and squatted and pushed the bottle into his body. That was how he smuggled it into the prison. And so, you know. So one day I was outside the African shrine. A policeman came from Area F and told me that the DPO said the next time they arrest me, they should waste me. So I said, what do I do? He said, you leave the Keji area. Fortunately and unfortunately, I was with one of my prostitute girlfriend. She left us alone and went to Juelegba, and later came back and told me that, Keji, I don't want you to die. Let's go to Juelegba. There's a place we can stay. So when I got to the place, Milord Hotel is a guest house where prostitutes take rooms. So she has paid for a night. I checked out the place. It was okay to lay my head. So I negotiated with the manager and started staying there, never knowing that it was a setup by God to set me free. In the night of May 7th, within a week, I've added 2 other girls. There were now 3 of them. We were together there doing what guys and girls do. In the night of May 7th, I escorted them to Juelegba roundabout and they went to hustle. I told you they were prostitutes, so they are night workers. So they went, and I branched a place called Texas in Juelegba. It's a dilapidated secondary school where they sell drugs. Bought 2 grams of coke and 2 grams of H. Got to the hotel room, cooked the coke, you know, and as I was about to hit it, I heard a small still voice. I never knew who the voice belonged to then, but now I know. After preaching for 24 years, I know God still speaks to people. And there are people here, as I've been talking, you are so uncomfortable. God is talking to you, you know. God needs you, you know. God needs you because he has blessings for you. You better get him or you will never touch the blessings. Don't daydream. God is real. If God is not real, I won't be serving God. After being born a Muslim to a chief imam, and then I worship Shango Yemoja Ogun Shokbono with Fela at the African shrine, and now I'm born again, I can tell you that Jesus is real. There's a difference. Don't let anybody drive you. That's the truth, you know. So at the end of the day, the voice said, if you don't stop living this lifestyle, you're going to die this year. We know the fear now, and Fela trained us. You know, Fela told us that fear is not for man. So when I heard the voice, I looked around the room and I decided to smoke. I took the heat and I vomited blood. I didn't remember the voice. But what I was thinking is that, oh, finally, the people have killed their children. They have poisoned this powder. So I quickly went to flush the cocaine powder and decided to step down with the heroin powder. When I run the heroin powder on the foil paper, what we call chasing the dragon in the terms of drug addiction, I vomited blood again. And that was when I started shaking. Fear came gradually. And I was thinking, what am I going to do in my life? And suddenly, it was like a movie. From the day I left home till that day. Now, let me put it straight. When I was leaving home, I told my dad not to bother to look for me. I'll be back in 7 years. As at the time I was having this experience, it's been 15 years that I've not set my eyes on my dad, mom, brothers, sisters. You know, that's another thing drug can do to you. You can just decide to abandon your family. Don't you think a guy that abandoned his education can abandon his family? Yes, you can, with the influence of drug. So by the time this movie stopped playing, I just saw that I was covered with tears. I was weeping, thinking about my life. And I asked myself a question. Young man, is this how you're going to live? Now if you put the years together, I left home at 16 plus. 15 years after, how old does that make me? 31. What am I saying to you? If you don't stop that drugs, you'll be shocked how many years you waste. You'll be shocked. You know, some of us doing drugs already, your friends are doing better than you. It's messing you up. You cannot understand. You are still trying to cope. You better wake up from your slumber. Because Jesus is here to set you free, to break the chain, to break the yoke. Alright? So it was that, at that point, I didn't know what to do. But because I've been hearing about Jesus, of course, which I'm not interested in, I decided to try Jesus. So I took off my clothes. I told you I was born a Muslim, never been to church. And I said, you, this Jesus that you're talking about, if it is true that you can save, all I want you to do for me is deliver me from drug addiction. That was all I asked. Because of the fact that severally, in Los Angeles, in New Jersey, in Off-Bank in Germany, in Scotland, in Lyon in France. I've been to rehabs. I couldn't stop. I wasn't ready. I didn't see any reason. But that night, after saying this prayer for the first time in 15 years, I didn't know what happened. When I opened, this was around 12 midnight. When I opened my eyes, it was about 8:30 in the morning. It was the first time in 15 years I slept without drugs. That was the first miracle. And other miracles followed. So I picked up one of the tracts that they've been always been giving to me that I put by the table. I read it, saw the confession prayer, and I saw the church address, and I walked to church, gave my life to Christ. There was a revival 4 days after I got filled in the Holy Ghost. Till date, I'm still filled, preaching the gospel. So I know there are people here that love God. You love God, you want to serve God. You know, because if you don't love God, you will be in church. You love God, but there's something in you that is dragging you and God. There is something in you that you don't know how to deal with it. There's something that is opposing the ways of God in your life. There is something that is making you not to serve God the way you want to. There's something that is telling you that, is this thing really real? Is this God real? Is there anything in church? Is there any fulfillment in church? That thing, only Jesus can deal with it. I had to struggle with a whole lot of things. You know, I didn't talk about women. I didn't talk about sex. You know, you can imagine. My master, Fela Kuti, married 27 wives. In Kalakuta, sex was cheap. It was the cheapest thing. Girls call you to come and go and have sex with them. You don't have to pay a dime. After they get high, they don't know what they're doing. You know, and so many other things. Of course, I was a serial rapist. But you see, Jesus has set me free. You know, Jesus is real. We are not joking here. How do you explain it? A murderer, an armed robber, a cultist, a rapist, you know, set free, 24 years now, serving God fervently. What are you talking about? Is it the exposure? Apollo Theatre, we've performed. Hollywood Main Bowl, we've performed. What I Brixton Academy in London, we performed. Hammersmith Palace, Glastonbury Farmers Festival. We played in all these places. We've seen things. We've seen money. You understand what I'm saying? But none can be compared to what Jesus has for you. There is something in you that is empty that you are trying to fill. Only Jesus can fill it. Right now, as I'm speaking, wherever you are, I want us to bow down our heads. We want to pray. Let mothers start to pray for their children, because I tell you, there's an epidemic of drug abuse in the nations of the world, not just Nigeria. It's an epidemic. It's biting strong. Biting strong. All over our streets now, we have street cults. Aye and Aye have left the campuses. They have left the secondary school. They have left primary school. They are now on our streets. And so a lot of our children are involved. You understand? Let's pray and start to pray. And let the young people start to talk to God themselves. Are you serving God? Are you sure you've had an encounter? You can have an encounter this morning. That's why God brought me here. As you are praying wherever you are, I'd like you to listen to the sound of my voice. God is speaking through me. If you are here, you are struggling with habits. You know, there are many habits that will follow drug addiction. Masturbation, pornography, they follow drug addiction. Because why? You will be stressed out, and you are looking for other things. You know, many things. Wherever you are here, you are saying, Pastor Keji, I need prayers. I need prayers. Not just prayer for salvation alone. I need to break out of some habits. The yoke can be broken right here this morning. The Bible says that God, who has comforted us, has sent us forth to go and comfort others with the same comfort we have received. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 4. You understand what I'm saying? So wherever you are, I want to pray with you.